Sure. Just welcome. Thank you guys for joining us today. We're glad you made it. We'll actually offer a recording. So if you need to pause it or something and you can't make it through the whole thing, we'll have a recording of this sent out. Just get a hold of us. And with that being said, we'll get started. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. If not, I'll turn the time over to Doug.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you, everyone, for taking your valuable time and attending of this webinar. As Kelly mentioned, it is recorded. So if you need to leave early, no problem. You get the full recording. We'll also package up the slide deck. We want to focus on the demonstration portion. There's an old saying, a picture tells 1,000 words, and so demonstrating the solution is the best approach, I believe, for this webinar. And as Kelly mentioned, please use chat for any questions that you might have. She'll interrupt and we can answer them real time. I'm joined today by Suman Prasad, who's our Chief Technology Officer. Suman, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Doug.
Okay, great. And Ben will be doing the demo. Ben, you're there, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And like I said, the slide deck is really setting the foundation, letting you know who KRise is, the platform. We want to focus on that, our clients. I'm going to go through it relatively quick because the demonstration portion is what I want to get to, say, in about 10 minutes. So please don't be alarmed if I go through it too fast. And so first off, KRise Systems. We're based in Aurora. We were established in 2003. We're focused on JD Edwards. The third bullet item there, no vendor lock. This is huge. A key reason why people choose KRise is their platform of choice for pre-built apps like what I'm going to show today with EASYBuyer, and custom apps is because it's platform based, like JDE tools. Everything comes out of JDE tools in terms of JDE apps. We're not a programming language company, and we give you the keys if you want to have any level of development ownership. People really like that in today's market. And the deliverables are just a lot better when they're platform based versus programming language based like Java or .NET with customs that cause issues. As you can see, we have a lot of large customers, a lot of large JDE clients. JDE is made up of many small to medium-sized businesses, and we have many there. This is just a sample of some of our customers that we've been working with over the years. Most of these are active customers that are engaged with us right now. And we were at the Quest show, and this was our booth, and I believe it shows KRise high level, in terms of what we are. First off, we tout that our deliverables are based on our acclaimed EASYProcess, a low-code application and integration a platform that we and companies out there are creating apps every day with this platform. We're going to show you a pre-built app dealing with requisition today, although the platform allows filling the gap, and that's what I call it. You implement JD Edwards, and then there's still a lot of gap especially around business process automation and optimizing business processes. And you can see some of the areas of the business that we touch on. This slide here is kind of reinforces where we fit in the JDE ecosystem. We're a platform, we have apps, even JDE over and over. They tout, these low-code platforms. We're in the category with Appian and Mendix and OutSystems. Our big differentiator, and you're going to see that today, is our JDE integration. We've got everything integrated, orchestration, user-defined fields, and your business functions, and we're going to show that with our app today. This is an example. This was a previous webinar from March, and it and it typifies how we engage with customers. So Accolade Wines is a big worldwide wining manufacturer. They selected K-Rise about a year ago. They went live earlier this year with 10 projects. You can see on the procurement side, they went with 3 projects there, a couple of custom projects they call 3PL, but this is how we engaged with Accolade. They presented, Tom McGrath from Accolade presented, and basically their project Leapfrog was about eliminating all kinds of high maintenance apps and simplifying it. So K-Rise Systems from Accolade Wines, we deal with business process improvements, anything workflow, and they're standardizing on K-Rise for that reason. So that exemplifies. Gartner, once again, touting low-code platforms is the way to go in terms of the approach for businesses. This is our low-code platform, and I mentioned a second ago the differentiation, and you can see that on the bottom there with, the level of JDE integrations, various types. It's pre-integrated. I mean, it's we have all of this built into the platform. This is our exclusive. When you look at that low-code landscape, and what separates us from everybody else, and this is how we develop. It's a canvas, drag and drop, services, buttons, and you can see once you put it all together, you've got an app, a great responsive design for the mobile side. We cover mobile from 2 areas: thin client browser, like on my Apple phone, Safari, Chrome, and we cover the mobile from a native app perspective too. We went with open source Facebook React Native as our native app framework extension to our web app. All kinds of certifications, everything that you need, SOC 2 Type 2, all the Oracle. We're big time into payments. We do a lot of payments, a lot of different ways of invoices to be created in JDE, obviously sales order and just an invoice, or from the real estate module, or from a work order. And we cover that payment, so we're PCI compliant, that we're, once again, filling the gap where JDE does not have functionality. And this is predominantly focused on the AR side of JD Edwards. Now, with the procurement side, the second bullet item there is what we're going to be covering today, EASYBuyer PO Requisitioning. We have many apps, and they could be bought standalone. They can be bought integrated all together if you'd like, so it flows, starting with vendor onboarding. By the way, that third button, the third item there, PO approval, that's a freeware app. So if you want to work with us, vet K-Rise, our platform, our company, we provide PO approval. It's non-restricted. The only user restriction is 100 users. And if you need more, we do it at a very reasonable cost. We're going to also, on the fourth bullet item there, we're going to touch on, okay, the PO's created. We're going to briefly, Ben's going to show a buyer supplier portal, which we call PO Planner. So the supplier gets notified, and they can inquire on it off of a portal, and work with the buyer in terms of PO change, PO acknowledgement. That's something that people want very bad. ASN, even getting into the AP automation portion. And once again, PO approver, we're not showing that, but as an example, PO approve functionality, we're focusing on requisition self-service, but this is PO approve. We're simply going to create a PO as part of the process, Ben, as he goes through it, various use cases with PUNCHOUT, stock and non-stock. But I just wanted everybody to know that this app is there working against the approval level revisions in JD Edwards. This is EASYBuyer, and rather than go through the bullet items, Ben will show it to you. Ben's going to review the workflow. These so many of our projects are workflow based, and that's what's missing with the ASs at a lot of companies. They're doing emails and shared folders and Dropboxes, and they're missing that workflow. And we've got great workflow. It can even work outside of JDE if you need to go out to the supplier, as an example, to validate. So many companies, so many like software vendors, mobile app. And I just want to take a second and reflect on what our platform is. It's a web app. And we do have a native app extension. That's the red there, Facebook React Native. We looked at Xamarin, a hybrid. So we're the best of all worlds. But what does this mean? It means that, like with workflow approvals, we offer 3 levels of notification types. Obviously emails, and they can be intelligent emails where the people can approve right from the email. We have web services embedded. I'll show that. SMS text, because we're based on AWS. You need a service for SMS, and AWS has that service, so we can enable that. And then, of course, native app. That's the download from Google or Apple Store, and we have that too. So what you're seeing here is an example of like an email notification where somebody can approve it or deny it, and they're seeing the prior approvals and whatever you want to pull. It's a boilerplate, or I should say form-based email template. So you decide what level of line item details or header level fields you want represented on it. And because we're great with responsive design, if you're dealing with emails and people are on the go, this is showing the same app here, from a responsive design. For me, it would be Safari or Chrome that I use on my iPhone. And then we have SMS text too. And once again, the advantages of being cloud native, being able to utilize technologies like the SMS service that AWS provides, and then native app. So native app from a mobile perspective, you download, EASYProcess. If you go to the Google Store or Apple Store, we're there. And you can see the third screen over. What is a native app? You can use the phone device functionality, like you don't want to type in your name, go ahead and scan in your name. That's what you're seeing there. Or on the fourth over, where in the comments you can just use the microphone, and that's what I did. I typed the word approved. With this app, this is important because the receipt process with requisitioning might be OCR based, and you could do that with tablets or laptops. Now, integration, and this is just an example with PO Approve. We can give you the best of both worlds. We're doing a lot more orchestration integrations. And usually, and I have up there, the client creates the orchestration. You have trained people or you've got a service provider. We can do it there. It's just that usually the client says, okay, we want to integrate with Orchestrator, and it works great through obviously Record-to-Process. Or people might not be on 9.2, or sometimes it's a hybrid integration approach where we're using a combination of business functions or orchestration or business functions. The thing with business functions is we're responsible. You don't have to do anything. This is an example of the business functions that we work with PO Approve. So that's it. And good, I stayed within 15 minutes. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Ben. You ready to go?
Yep, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. Yeah, so what I'm going to show today is the EASYBuyer app with PUNCHOUT, stock, and non-stock lines. And then after that, I'm going to show some of our PO Planner application as well. So what's on the screen right now is the EASYBuyer workflow. So this is the workflow that was built out in our platform, and the EASYBuyer app follows this workflow. So just to give a high level overview, this is the composing status where the requester will compose a requisition. they can, once they submit it for approval, it'll either go straight to the budget approval status, or if it needs some kind of pre-approval edit, like let's say the supplier, they don't have the supplier number filled out, that would be on the buyer users or the procurement users in this pre-approval edit status. But once those are filled out, it'll go to budget approval. It'll go through this more approval loop until all of the necessary approval is finished. And once that's done, it'll go to post-approval edit, where there's a final check by the buyers, and then they'll send it to JDE. And this is where the integration to JD Edwards is. So the PO will be created in this step. And it's also dark blue because this status will run on a batch, and those requisitions will get processed every minute. And after that, then it just sits at this waiting for receipt status. And then once it's received in our system, it'll terminate the request. And so that's about it. So I'll go ahead and log into the portal as a buyer first. So Vanessa Hudson is a buyer user. And then under this procurement menu, I'm going to go to work with approval routes. And then I'm going to select a cost center here to give you an idea of what an approval route will look like. So the system that we brought over to our base copy of EASYBuyer here is the cost center system. So you'll select a cost center when you're creating a requisition, and within these cost centers will be different levels of approvers. So these are all users in the systems here. And these are the currencies that are associated with them. And then we have a limit of authority here. This is just the amount of money that's needed to go to these users. So for instance, if the requisition is under 100, it'll only go to the first level. If it's over 100, it'll go to 1 and 2. If it's over the second level, it'll go to 1, 2, and 3, and so on. And then anything above the third level also just goes to all 3 users. And so this is where buyers could go in and edit these approval routings. But the next thing I'll show here is I'll log out of the buyer user and I'll log in as a requester. So I'm logged in as Marion Johnston. And under the requisition menu, there's a punch out catalog button. And here's where there'd be a collection of catalogs that you have in your system. I'm going to show the Amazon punch out. So I'll click on that. Pressing this button sends the CXML request to Amazon. They send us back a URL to forward the user to. And now we are in the punch out catalog for Amazon. You can see, we have our name down here. We have the application it's associated with. And so in here, it's pretty much just an Amazon catalog. So we can go in and add some items to our cart. So let's see. So I'll add some sticky notes. We'll go down here. Order some Sharpies as well. See if I can change the quantity here to give some. So we'll do 5 of these.
So Ben, when you change the quantity, there was like a moment, and that's the integration actually occurring between our URL working against, the client-specific instance of the Amazon business, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it kind of calculates the pricing in between there, depending on the quantity. And I believe it tries to find the best price, or Amazon does. So after we have everything in our cart, I press proceed to checkout. And here we can select our shipping address. These can be managed through the Amazon business settings, but they can also be chosen by the user here. You can add new addresses. So I'll just select this. And then we can choose our shipping options. And then we can select our payment methods. So this one right here is provided by the organization. So this is also manage my business settings. You can have them type in their own cards, or you can have organization-wide cards as well. Yeah, which are defined. This is the Amazon Business dashboard here. So we could add them by going to payment methods. Oh, I think it's going to have me sign in again. Yeah, so here's manage payment methods. You can see that payment method right here. Okay, and so we'll select that, and then it'll say this order requires approval, which just means this will have to go through our procurement system. Otherwise, in other words, EASYBuyer, to be able to finalize this order. So I'll click submit order for approval. This sends the response back to EASYBuyer, and EASYBuyer will process that request, take all the parameters, and put it into an EASYBuyer requisition. So up here, we have some header information, some coming from Amazon, some not. We have an Amazon PUNCHOUT request. And if we scroll down, we can see all of the items that were added to this request. So the Sharpies and the sticky notes. Yeah, unit price came in. Yep.
And Ben, with the form, show some level of JDE integration, like with, you know, the UDCs and that.
Yeah, so if we did have to add, like, let's say payment terms or tax area, something JDE specific that we need to add here, we can just go to this lookup. And this is just querying the JDE tables to pull these in. So, you know, we could select that, and that comes in that box over there. So, yeah, after that's all filled out, we can go ahead and submit the request. And we can see it's assigned to this next user, Ignacio Haynes, who was the first level approver. This request is under $100, so this is just going to go to Ignacio. So we'll click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and log out of this Marion Johnson user here. And we would have gotten this email notification as an approver. So this was sent to user Ignacio Haynes. It was an Amazon PUNCHOUT request, and we can click here to review and approve. And so if I click here, this should take us directly into the portal. I'll sign in. I'll sign in as the approver.
And we could have buttons that allows auto sign in too, right, Ben?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we could embed the username password into the email. And in that case, yeah, like you said, it would auto sign the user in. Yeah, so the approvers will get a read-only version of this form. So they can't change anything here. They'll see all of the items. We can add a comment here, say it looks good, and then we'll approve.
But the user role permissions goes beyond just edit or not edit. You can do it at the section. You see the form there with sections. You could do it at the field level. So as an example, if they wanted to work with documents and everything else is read-only, that's part of defining the user role permissions.
Yep, that's right. And so, yeah, like you saw, that pop-up said that it went to procurement, which means that we are past the budget approval step. It's fully approved. So we just needed to do one final pass. We just need the buyers to do one final pass and send it to JDE. So once again, I can log in as our procurement user. So Vanessa Hudson. And this will also give you an idea of what it would look like if the user either approver or procurement came in and we need to find a request. We can use this requisition search. Yep, and that'll pull up all of the requests that have been made in the system. So I have this checkbox or this radio button checked automatically. So this is all the requests assigned to me. And so we can see this Amazon PUNCHOUT request here. And we can see timestamps, duration, you know, who did the actions. We can see comments from approvers. And then it's at this post-approval edit status. So if I click here, it's taking me back into the request. And since I'm a procurement user, this is another example of role-based changes on the pages because these fields aren't read-only in this case. And so I can go in and change whatever I need to. But if it all looks good, I can just approve this and this will send it to JDE. So it's been executed. And now it's sitting at this JDE status. And like I said, it's automatic, runs every minute. And then once that requisition is processed, we should get an email as the requester that there's been a new PO created in JDE. And so I'll log out of Vanessa and we'll go ahead and log in as our requester user while we're waiting for that to process.
Say, Ben, if you can go back to the login, can you or Suman briefly describe, it says network account, single sign-on, authentication. That's how most of our implementations work, right?
Yes, yeah. So we can integrate with single sign-on, SAML. So this is talking about like Microsoft Azure accounts, Google accounts, it's stuff like that. So this gives the option to log in with that instead of an application user. Yeah, and we can see that this requisition was created in JDE. So our Amazon PUNCHOUT request, it would be 946. So I'll go ahead and copy this PO number and we'll check it out in JDE. Yep, 946, our supplier's Amazon. If we go to the detail level, we can see, we have our Sharpies, our sticky notes, we have, the quantity that we ordered. So everything is in JDE now. So another thing about the PUNCHOUT integration is once that's created in JDE, it simultaneously sends a request to Amazon to turn that purchase order into a sales order on their side. So to finalize that order. And that might take a little while just because they do it on a batch, but I can show you an example of, if I go to the hub here, I can show you an example of a PO that was created and how you can view that in the Amazon Business Portal. Yep, so go ahead and we'll go to purchasing system. And so this is going to be our integration, our PUNCHOUT integration to EASYBuyer. So once this loads up here, we'll be able to see our purchase orders. It might take a second. And while that's going, I'll go ahead and create another request as Marion Johnson, actually. So I can walk through the steps of adding a stock line and a non-stock line to a request. So we're logged in as the requester, so we can go to create requisition. And this pulls up a blank version of that form, or I guess it's not completely blank because some of these values are coming in from defaults set by this requester. So, branch plan, ship to, cost center, we can change all of these, but these are just the defaults that were set. And so we'll just say, let's do a webinar test and we'll save the header.
And Ben, you have up there no supplier. So another use case might be a requisition where the supplier isn't even noted up front. It could be later in the process, prior to the final approval, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's what I was talking about with the pre-approval edit. So
Okay.
we could check this box, and in that case, if we submitted, it would have to go through some buyer to define a supplier before it went to the budget approval step. But in the case where we already have one, it just skips that step. So I'll go ahead and add an item. And And in this form, we can type in item number, we can type in some description here, some quantity, some unit price. But there's also this unit or this line type drop down. We can change that from J to S, and that turns it into a stock item. So it pulls up this lookup in the item number. So if we click this, and we click find, this queries the item master for the supplier that we have selected and pulls up all of the items. So let's say we need this item here. It automatically fills out the description. And then we can continue as normal. So we need a selected account. So if I pull up this this account lookup, it has our business unit here, M30. That's the cost center that we have selected. And this queries JDE and pulls up all of the accounts for that M30 business unit.
Say, Ben, could you parse it even further? And by the way, I want to pause right here because this is important. Our direct integration to JDE. Windstream Communications is a big user. They've been using EASYBuyer for 10 years, millions of dollars in POs every day. And Suman, you were involved with that. They replaced Ariba because Ariba, they were downloading their accounts, and really this is what they wanted right here. They wanted direct access real time to the account codes. I think they mentioned they literally have over 500,000. Suman, you were involved with Windstream, right?
Yes, that is correct. They have around 2 million account codes, and Ariba will only do downloads and then show everything, which was taking forever. Our direct integration to JDE Edwards allows them to look for accounts and subledger and everything like in sub-second response, which was a big deal for them, which helped them a lot. Because if you are doing a requisition, the account coding is very important. Okay, Ben.
Okay. Yes. So like Doug said, we can filter this down even further. So let's say we need a repair account. So this just pulls up all of the ones with repair in the account name. So let's say I select this account. We'll click add item. And that adds the stock item to our list of items down here. So line type S. I'll also add a non-stock item here. Say share.
Although many of our EASYBuyer clients make it so that J-line type non-stock can't be mixed with stock, right? I mean, it's there. These are configuration decisions that could be easily enabled or not with the app, right, Ben?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but just for the sake of showing both examples, I'm going to add a non-stock item here. Oh yeah, we can fill out our account manually or by hand. So I'll actually just search for that same one. And then we'll just click add item. Yep, and now we have an S and a J in the same requisition. And the total price of our requisition is over 3,000, and our top level approver was 2,000. So this should go to all three approvers here. So if I submit, then we'll have Ignacio. And yep, we can go. We see the new request came in, our webinar test. So I'll click here to review and approve. Oh, and actually, let me sign out of this user first. And then we should be good to go. Oh, let me see. Yeah. Got logged out, so let's log in as Ignacio. Yeah, once again, read only, and I'll go ahead and just approve this. Should go to the second level approver, Cecilia Watts. So I'll sign out of Ignacio. We'll do this one to the portal. So we'll just log in as Cecilia, click on requisition search, and we see that webinar test here. Go down and select approve again. And then we have our final approver, this Lawrence Phillips user. So log out. And we'll just go ahead and log in as Lawrence. And approve. And now that it's fully approved, it's going to post-approval edit. And I'll log in as Vanessa one last time just to send this requisition to JDE. Okay, post-approval edit and approve. And yep, now it's in JDE. And so once that's created, we'll have a PO in JDE with both a stock and non-stock line. I'll go ahead and log in as our requester again, because I do want to show the final step, or actually while we're waiting for that to process in JDE, I can show off some other pages here. So this EASYBuyer application does have an inquire section in which we have a PO search. Pretty simple. We have some filtering up here, and we just list out all the POs. You know, this is just a JDE query here. We have a supplier lookup, and just click find here. And this lists all of the suppliers. The neat thing about this is it has an update button. So we could restrict this update button based on who's logged in. But if we needed to update some record in the address book, we could do it right from this portal. And this is done via a business function. So if I just put, yeah, let's say webinar after this, this alpha name here, our address name is updated, and it uses the business function to update that supplier name in JDE. And so that's a neat thing. You can restrict that, yeah, like I said, based on role. And the last two,
and you could have workflow associated with anything update.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, we have an account code lookup, which we saw before, just in a widget form, and we also have a receipt search as well. So this is just searching all of the receipts in JDE. So I think by now, yep, that requisition was created in JDE. And so what I want to show with this PO 947 is I want to go to detail revision, and I'm going to move it to a receivable status so we can create a receipt. So in our JD Edwards, we're looking at status 300-370. So let's change both lines to that. And now if we go back to the portal and we go to receive POs, we'll be able to see that 947 here. And so this is our webinar test. This is all of the receivable POs in JDE. And if we go to receive PO, we'll only see the non-stock line type. And this is a configuration that we could change based on your needs, but we have it set up so the only thing that's receivable here is non-stock lines. So we just have line 2, and we can go ahead and let's say just receive 20 of these. Let's click on receive PO. And it gives us a receipt number back. If we refresh the page here, we'll see the open quantity went down by 20.
And Ben, if we can pause here with this receipt process, this is where OCR might come into play. I briefly showed, you know, our native app allowing like the camera to do OCR. As an example, we have a client in Ohio, Cincinnati, called Michaelman, and the app that we created for them, it's work order scheduling based, and it's tied to a tablet with barcoding. And being cloud native, we have switched years ago when we went AWS to OCR as a service, and Amazon calls it TextTract. TEXTRACT. That is built into our IDE with any of these applications. It's a great OCR solution. A lot of vendors are switching to it. What's beautiful with TextTract OCR, it's OCR as a service. Everything is set up. And so as an example, with this receipt process, you can easily enable OCR barcode scanning for this process. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess the next step is just, we'll receive the rest of the open quantity and click receive. It gives us back another receipt number. And then it kicks us back to this page because that is fully received. And so the that requisition is finished. Yeah, and that's about everything that I have to show for EASYBuyer. So the next application that I want to show is an application we call PO Planner. And this is a way for suppliers to acknowledge POs. And in the process of doing so, they can make small changes to these purchase orders, changing quantity, the promise date, unit price, and then it can go back to the planner who can approve or reject these changes. So if I log in as a supplier here, it should take us to a menu. And actually, before I go in here, what I'll do is create a fresh purchase order here. So the supplier that I'm looking at is 4319, and I'll just add a couple items here. 50 of this item, 50 of this item as well.
So we're briefly showing the buyer supplier portal. PO is created. We could show the PO approve, as I talked about, but we're just, taking it from a perspective. Here's an approved PO that can now be sent to the supplier. So we're going to do a more in-depth webinar on this, but it does make sense within the context of, the fact that many areas of functionality dealing with procurement, most companies go with multiple areas of business process improvement. That's what this buyer supplier portal is all about. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so this is a purchase order inquiry. These are the acknowledgeable purchase orders. We can also do this step, with revisions, shipping, and acknowledging cancel orders as well. But what I'll show today is just a simple acknowledge. So if I click acknowledge on the PO that I just created, we can see, we have the quantities here, we have the item numbers, the descriptions. So I can suggest a quantity change here. And then let's suggest a unit price change here. I'll click acknowledge. Okay, yeah, and then, we have our changes here. So,
and Ben, let me just explain that, when going through this PO acknowledge or PO change process with our implementations, we are working through an additional level of logic a lot of times, like tolerance. Tolerances, say, based on the price or the date, things like that. So a lot of companies are wanting to do more management by exception. We have accounts that want to do this with EDI orders, so we can read into our portal, like that's up at Rockline in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. The managing EDI processes with an acknowledgement or a change. Just wanted to add those additional thoughts. Thanks.
And yeah, I just made that change request. So as the original buyer in JDE, this change request would have came out for this PO. And these ones look a little nicer than the EASYBuyer ones. These are emails that look like they came from the portal. So we have our our new change requests here. You try to change quantity, try to change unit cost. We have some workflow history as well. So we can see, there was an acknowledged change requested for 2 lines by, this user, this supplier. And we also have these buttons built into the email as well. So we can approve or reject straight from the email. This is all tokenized. So after a while, these links will be expired. But yeah, if it's pressed within the day, you can approve or reject from the email. Otherwise, you can click to access the portal here. So I'll click on approve, and this will actually take me to a window here. It'll say, yep, change request has been approved. You may close this window. So that briefly takes us into the portal to approve. And then if I refresh this page in JDE, we'll see that these lines were both acknowledged, and it updated you can see it updated the quantity for the first line and updated the unit cost for the second line. Yep, and looking at the statuses, it moved to 300, 370, which is acknowledged in our system. And another thing on the detail level, another thing that we do for PO Planner is we used text object attachments or media object attachments to kind of audit the trail in PO Planner. So you can see we added a change request. The proposed change was changing the quantity from 50 to 51, and then the change request for line 1 has been approved in this next line. So this is all tracked through a media object in JDE.
And Ben, this is good to discuss because we could also add, say, within the context of buyer-supplier communication, manual comments. So if, in fact, at some of our implementations, we're actually copying the email correspondence between buyers and suppliers and putting it in the email, aren't we, Ben?
Yeah. Emails between buyers and suppliers get parsed and submitted the same way that these text attachments are submitted.
Right. So media object integration, we really didn't touch on that because this is a brief 1-hour webinar. It's high level. So even with the EASYBuyer application in the area of documents, so even with media object managing documents, where do you want them stored? If it is in JD Edwards, we can do those things too, or we can simply reference it to tables in AWS. That's another approach.
All right, and I think that's just about what I wanted to show for PO Planner.
Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause. Oh, and one last thing, were you able to go into the Amazon and show the finalized punch out?
Oh yeah, let me see, because it looks like it's loading infinitely here, but let's see if I can get that page to open. Yeah, so purchasing system. So
we went through the three.
Go ahead. Yeah. Just it looks like a test order was placed here. So yeah, so this is, looks like the markers and the post-it notes. So it did eventually place the order. And then if we search for purchase orders here, we should be able to see purchase orders from EASYBuyer. And this is just a page that Amazon gives you to track purchase orders. So yeah, we can see, once they're all finally approved and Amazon gets that request to order, they'll go ahead and order those purchase orders linked to the PO number in JDE. So this is 946. So we can see Sharpies and sticky notes here.
Great. Kelly, are there any questions from the chat?
I think we have them answered, but does anybody feel free to ask questions right now? Everybody should just be able to unmute themselves and talk if they have any questions or follow-ups to the chats that we've been getting.
All right, so you're saying we haven't received any questions at this point?
We did, but Suman answered.
can,
them, I think,
can,
right, Suresh?
Doug,
Suman,
I
you want-
can, yeah, I can
Okay.
go through them. So
Okay.
there was a question about, can we integrate PUNCHOUT with other vendors and what it takes? And generally it takes, I will say, a week to onboard a new vendor, as long as you have a vendor which supports PUNCHOUT. What we use is a very standard a CXML. That's a protocol that we use to transfer data back and forth between sites for the PUNCHOUTs. Another question is, can the approval routing can be customized, right? What you saw was a very standard approval routing based on cost. Can we go more granular? Can we use items or cost codes? And again, we have that is correct. Our demo environment is very, very standard, very simple. But in every installations we do for EasyBuy, we come up with these kind of requirements. And our workflow is very customizable. You saw what Ben was showing, and you can add any kind of logic, any kind of additional levels in that to achieve any kind of complexity in your approval that you want to achieve. And again, if, we can follow up with more information on this, but any kind of approval will be possible.
Okay, so those were the two questions.
And actually, there's one more question.
One more,
Okay.
yep.
And it's about, are we writing back to RSS table in JDE or the PO table? And the answer for that will be that we are writing to PO tables. Requisitions that is being created that you saw, unless they are approved, they are kept in EasyBuy, and they are not sent to JDE as a requisition at that moment. And once you create the purchase order, of course, the purchase orders are created in JDE Edwards.
Okay, good. No, three great questions. I know we have 5 minutes left to the webinar, and we wanted to show the platform very, very quickly, or we could simply, as a follow-up email, send you a recording to an introduction to the platform. Suman, what do you think? Do you think we should, have Ben quickly show the EasyProcess IDE, how we create the apps, the two apps that we showed you today, and all of our apps and all of our custom? Does that make sense?
We have a few minutes. Okay, Ben, if you don't mind, you can just pull up some canvas, so some UI, how our platform looks like. But given the time, I don't think we have time to go through any kind of platform change.
Yeah, let's just go through 5 minutes, see what Ben can show. I think showing the IDE is a great start to understanding, and there are just so many advantages to create deliverables versus a programming language approach. That's why you selected JDE with tools. But ours is even better because it's full low code. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm doing here, just to pull up a UI canvas. I'm just creating a task. And so this is the built-in DevOps for our platform here. So I'll assign this task to myself. We can add some description here. Yeah, so we'll show the UI canvas of the customers app. We can attach some files to tasks as well. We'll go ahead and submit. And then now that we have a task created, I can create a project. And in this project, we're in an existing app here. So I'm going to pull up a page, a web page. So I'm going to add an existing web page. And we'll pull up this demo view. I'll go ahead and close, and then I'll open up the demo view. And so this pulls up our MVC canvas.
MVC is Model View Controller. It's an approach dealing with creating great user interfaces and user experience.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see this view right here is the view part of model view controller, and then we also have the model, which is where the data comes from to display on the UI, and then we have some controllers, which are like the buttons, like the paging and whatnot. So just to give you an idea of what this page looks like, this here is the list, and we have some controls up here just for paging, data download. And so I can go to desktop view to show what this looks like. And when we log in, it queries JDE for all of the customers in the system, and it displays them in this list. And we have some paging options. Show 20 rows per page. We have a data download.
Can you pull up the model and just show how the logic to bring the data?
Yeah.
And that pretty much will do it for the time. Okay.
Yeah, so model, we'll go to the model, and this is the process canvas. This is how we design logic in EASYProcess. So we have a start and terminate node, and then whatever's inside of it is what gets executed before the page is loaded. And on the left here, we have a list of services. There's over 200 services actually. Some of them do very specific things, like an authorized.net workshop to integrate with authorized.net. We have like database services to read, delete, any database operation that we need. Email services, which we're up here. We can send and receive emails, and so on. So this just works by using an inquire on the customers. And this just queries JD Edwards, having some name like whatever you type in the search box here. So this is kind of the where clause editor, but this is how the data gets pulled for the view.
Okay.
So
on the time.
Yeah, that was great, Ben. We took up the full hour, actually we're right at the top of the hour. So thank you very much for spending your valuable time attending this webinar. As Kelly noted, it's recorded. We'll send you a link. I'll send you the slide deck. If you'd like to engage with us, PO approved. Once again, it's freeware if you're interested in that, or the EASYBuyer or anything else across the business landscape. Call. We're a very easy company to engage with. We do a lot of proof of concepts for our clients to eliminate the vendor vetting and buy process. So once again, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Bye now.